Welcome to my video. This is Eckogen. I'll be going over the mechanics of Dr. Gyojak, the second boss in Scarlet Conservatory, also known as E.T. The tank should be at 12 o'clock, everyone else 7 o'clock, 3 meters or further. The boss has two types of attacks, green and red. Getting hit by either attack places a unique debuff on you based on the color you were hit. And that lasts for 10 seconds. While you have this debuff, if you're hit by a different color, you will get a weakness debuff and you'll be dazed for 3 seconds. So it's best to get hit by the same color or not at all. Let's talk about the attack rotation. He does a front 5 meter swipe red attack, and then a front 20 meter swipe green attack. And then a back and front slam red and green, left and right slam red and green. A 5 meter red left swipe with a 20 meter green right swipe. And then this is followed by a 5 meter red right swipe with a 20 meter green left swipe. And these attacks cause knockback. AoE punishment. It's RNG if it starts inner, then outer, or outer, then inner. The color of red or green is also RNG. So in this case, inner was safe with the outer being red, which means inner is about to be green. Front 5 meter red slam and then back 20 meter green slam, followed by a front right red 120 degree swipe with a back left green 120 degree swipe, or he'll do the reverse of what I just said. Careful selection. There are 5 circles and each circle will have its own color. It's RNG for the combination of colors. You want to avoid purple as it will kill you. The goal is to match the debuff you have with the color of the circle. So if you have green, you want to be on the green circle. If you don't have any debuffs, then it doesn't matter if you're standing on red or green, just don't stand on purple. And then it's back to its attack rotation after. And the mechanics for this phase, which is phase 1, it will begin after the second careful selection. So there's the punishment. This time it's inner first and then outer. Careful selection. Remember there are 5 circles. RNG for the combination. You want to try to match the debuff. If you don't have any, then it's fine to stand in red or green. Just don't stand in purple. So this message will appear, dark seeds. So the 3 furthest from the boss will get the dark seeds. The boss will then fire a projectile at each of them in the order of furthest to closest. And before this happens, each marked person will need 1 additional person with them to share. Otherwise, the marked person will die. So doing this correctly means there will be a total of 6 people with the seed debuff, and that debuff lasts for 20 seconds. So the boss will pull everyone to him, and he's going to place 6 cleansing pools depending on where the active flowers are in the room. And then you want to use stealth to prevent being dazed. So for this phase, with this particular layout, there's a certain order for flower activation. So for this layout right here, if you go to the mini-map, 12 o'clock will be first, 9 o'clock will be the second activation, 6 o'clock will be the third, and then 3 o'clock will be the last activation, the 4th activation. So 12 o'clock first, 9 o'clock second, 6 o'clock will be the third, and then 3 o'clock will be the fourth. And then as for the top right and then bottom left, those can be activated at any time after these 4 have been activated. So with the 6 cleansing pools, they're for the 6 people with the seed debuff. No one else but them steps on the pools. Doing this is going to change the debuff into an activation buff that lasts for 20 seconds. So after the pools, each of those 6 need to activate their flowers by touching them. The boss will also do shockwaves. There are 3 shockwaves. They will CC you, but you can jump over them. You can also use Half Moon Block here, but it will not cover all 3 shockwaves. And remember that the flower activation has to be done in a certain order, and that order depends on the layout of the flowers on the map. And that order changes for each phase. So the boss will now do green conduction. People who are not conducting need to be away from the line. It will conduct the tank at 2 meters, and then the next person at 5 meters. I'm at 8 meters, with someone behind me at 11 meters, then 14 meters. I SS and move to 18 meters to help pass on the conduction. And then it conducts to 21, and then final conduct at 24 meters. So then that touches the first flower right here at 12 o'clock. The same people can help conduct again, provided they have some sort of dash or SS. The flower will explode, so I'll be ready to jump over that. And then you're going to see this message about Dark Chi, which means the entire room will be a death zone besides the pads with the activated flowers from earlier. So the active flower will now give off a large green AoE. And we need to conduct that towards the next flower. So you want to stand near the edge and towards the next flower. That way when it conducts on you, you will maximize the distance. So notice where I'm standing right here. So I'm the first conduct from the 12 o'clock flower that was just conducted from the line. The second conduction is right here. Here's the third conduction. And then the fourth conduction. So because of how we did it, it's actually in range to touch the next flower. So the next flower right there is 9 o'clock. So once the green AoE has touched the second flower, we're going to move to the next one. The flower will explode, so get ready to jump. Now when you get to this gap right here, if there is a death zone on the left side and right side, you have to SS or dash or iframe through this. You cannot just jump over this. It doesn't work. So then we're passing conduction over to the flower in the bottom left. Once it's active, it's going to explode. Jump over that. Repeat. Conduct the flower at 6 o'clock. And then finally the 3 o'clock flower. And then it's not necessary to activate the flower in the top right here, so we left that alone. So as we were conducting the flowers, the boss is charging to each flower in the order of the first 4 activations, and he stops charging after charging into 4 conducted flowers. So here he comes. He's going to charge to the third flower at 6 o'clock. Be sure to get out of the way because it will knock you back. Stun for the first CC. And then knockdown for the second CC. And then move off the pad. So we're now at the 3 o'clock pad. And then the flower here still has the green conduction because we are able to conduct the last flower on the top right, but it's not needed. So that's why we left that alone, and that's why it still does this green conduction. But there's nothing bad that happens if you leave it like this. And then notice here, this flower in the bottom left corner, that's the safe zone. So you can see this message here, it's just mech damage. The boss is then going to pull us. He's going to jump. And before he lands, you want to make sure that you and your group, you're on this line right here. So see how there's like those little mini circles just right underneath us? Kind of like on this one right here. So there's one right here too that we're standing on. So you want to be on this line because this is the direction we're going to get launched when he lands. And this is the direction that points towards that safe corner in the bottom left. Whereas this direction over here, this is a pad that has a death zone, so that would get us killed. So make sure you're on this little line just before he lands. So we're going to get launched, and we're in the safe zone. So the reason why this is a safe zone is because it was conducted, and it was not a flower where the boss charged to. So that's why this is the safe zone. And once you land, make sure you do not F-roll, because depending on where you land, you might be really close to the wall, and the wall is actually considered a death zone as well. He's going to absorb the dark chi, so he's going to remove the entire death zone. Once it's gone, quickly get to the boss. And then around the room, there's going to be these eggs that spawn. So there's, you see these eggs here, they're all around the room, they're going to spawn. And they're going to connect black lines to the boss. Each person needs to block the line by simply standing in the line. So you can be at any range in attacking the boss, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far or how close you are to the boss, as long as your character is physically in the line's path to the boss. And as long as you have that covered, it's considered blocking the line. So you have to block all the lines, otherwise he'll get a shield, and then you won't be able to CC him, and then he'll do an attack that will wipe us. So we can now CC him, because we blocked all the lines, and that ends the first phase. So phase 2 now happens. Same attack rotation. Only thing is he'll do 2 sets of careful selections, and it'll happen 2 times per set. And then you can see here the threat changed because the tank got range checked, so this will reset his attack rotation. So here's careful selection. Remember, there are 5 circles. It's RNG for the color combination. You want to avoid purple. Match your debuff if you do have a debuff. If you don't have one, green or red, doesn't matter. And remember, because it's in phase 2, it's going to happen twice. So here's the first. So I'm staying in red. And then it's going to happen again. Remember, it's RNG, so it might change, may not change. So since I have red, I want to stay in red again, so that way I don't get dazed. Here's punishment, so this time it's inner and then outer. Remember, it is RNG, so it could be outer and then inner. Here's the second set of careful selection. Remember, it happens 2 times, so try to match. Avoid purple. After 2 sets of careful selections, he then plants dark seeds. So it's the same thing. The 3 furthest are marked. They need to be shared with an additional person just before he fires projectiles. And then that will be a total of 6 dark seed debuffs. So with this layout, remember that layout changes for each phase. With this particular layout, we can still do the same order of activation for the first phase. So if you remember, 12 o'clock was the first activation. 9 o'clock is the second activation. 6 o'clock is the third. 3 o'clock will be the fourth activation. And then the last two flowers, the one in the top left and bottom right, those could be activated at any time after those four are done. So remember, the boss is then going to pull us very shortly. You want to stealth that so that way we don't get dazed. 6 cleansing pools. Each of the dark seed people will take the cleansing pools. Now we activate our flowers in the order that I just mentioned. Remember, for the shockwaves, you want to jump over that. Conduction now happens. So the boss will conduct. The tank is at 2 meters, and then each person is about 3 meters apart in a line to help speed up conduction. People who are not conducting need to be aware of their position, and so that way they don't take conduct by accident. So 12 o'clock is now conducted. That flower is going to explode, so get ready to jump over that. He's doing the dark chi, so he's going to start making death zones. So the next conduction is going to be the flower in the top left corner. Jump over the explosion. Next will be the 9 o'clock flower. Remember that the flowers explode once they get the green stuff. And then notice how we are positioning ourselves to maximize the distance. And note that you have to SS or dash through the gap, otherwise it will kill you if you try to jump over that. So there's 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock is done. And then last one will be at 3 o'clock. So for the second phase, he drops 1 attack from his rotation during the whole charging phase. So here comes the charge. For the first CC, you want to stun. The next CC will be a knockdown. Once that happens, get off the pad. The last flower here at 3 o'clock still has the conduction going on because we did not conduct this bottom flower here. It's not necessary to conduct it. That's why it still does this. And then here comes the fourth charge. Remember to move out of the way because the charge will knock you down. So there's the mech damage. So this time, since the safe zone is in the top left corner, we're on this line right here. Because the bottom right corner is not safe, so you don't want to be on this line. So this is the line you want to be on. So the boss is going to pull us. He's going to jump. He's going to launch us away. And then we're in the safe zone. And then he'll absorb the dark chi. We can then go to the boss. Quickly position yourselves to block the lines, because the eggs will try to connect the black lines to the boss. It will create a shield if you do not block all the lines. CC comes up, you see him. Now we're into phase 3. So here, same thing, he'll do his usual attack rotation. There will be 3 sets of careful selection that will happen 3 times each. There's punishment. So here's careful selection. Here's the first one. Match if you need to. Second one. And then the third one. So remember that all of those are RNG. They may change, they may not change. It really depends. It's all up to RNG. And he's going to do 3 sets of careful selection in phase 3 before he does the dark seeds. So there's the second set of careful selection. So remember to hit 3 times. There's 1, 2, and then 3. And you want to avoid the purple circles. Purple is bad. There's punishment. There's the third set of careful selection. Remember to move accordingly. And then soon he's going to do the dark seeds. So there it is. So remember the 3 furthest. And then you have to have one person sharing with them, with each of them. So additional person. And he fires the projectiles in the order of furthest to closest. Now with this layout of flowers, so take a look at the layout here on the minimap. The order of the flower activation changes slightly. So 12 o'clock will still be the first flower. 3 o'clock will now be the second flower. 6 o'clock will be the third. And then 9 o'clock will be the fourth activation. So the top right here and bottom right can be activated anytime after those 4 are activated. So again, phase 3, based on this layout, 12 is first, 3 is second, 6 is third, and then 9 will be fourth. So the boss is going to pull us, stealth that. Cleansing pools. Activate your flowers. Watch out for the shockwaves. Conduction will happen. So it starts at 2 meters first, and then every 3 meters roughly. And then we're conducting to the 12 o'clock flower first. Once it's active, it's going to explode, jump over that. And then now we're going to the top right, so form that conduction line. That's done. Now we're going to 3 o'clock flower, jump over the explosion. And then we're going to the 6 o'clock flower. So take note of how we position ourselves. And then the next one will be the 9 o'clock flower. So for phase 3, during the charges, he only has 1 CC bar once. So you remember for phase 1 and 2, you have to CC him 2 times, but in phase 3, you only CC him once. And we just chose to do KDs. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you guys. You can do stuns if you want to, but for us, we decided to do knockdowns. So knock down, go to the next pad. So the flower in the top right-hand corner, that is the safe zone because we conducted that. The one in the bottom right will not be a safe zone because we did not conduct it, and it wasn't needed. Didn't need to conduct that. So that's why you still see the green conduction here. So we're aiming to go into the top right corner. Boss charges. He explodes due to mech damage. Get on the line. He will pull us, jumps, lands, launches us away. Be careful not to F-roll because you might go into the death zone. He's going to absorb the dark chi, quickly get to the boss, and then you want to block the lines. All lines need to be blocked or he'll get a shield and then you can't CC him. So CC comes up, you CC him, you could use stun or knockdown, doesn't matter. And that's it for phase 3. So after the third phase, he'll do his normal attack rotation. Whenever careful selection happens, it will happen 3 times. And depending on the raid's DPS, the boss's health should be around 10% or less after the third phase. That's your goal, so to say. So there's careful selection. Remember, it's going to happen 3 times. It's RNG for the pattern. Might change. Avoid purple. So there are 6 variations of the flower layouts, but the core movement will always be 12 o'clock first, then counterclockwise, or 12 o'clock first, then clockwise. I will include a link to an image showing the layouts and the order you should go based on the said layout of the flowers. The mechanics of the boss will be included in the video description as usual. As always, my social links will be in the video description. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Peace out.